So, Jersey guy, I haven't seen you in 11 days. They haven't seen us in that long. No Preds games, then the Christmas break, and you take off without saying goodbye to God knows where. What happened over Christmas? Did you see my new Matt Duchene and Anthony Richard bobblehead doll over there on the shelf near the Christmas tree? Oh, me? I spent the holiday with Dangle Heckai. There's a town that all of us characters all go to spend the Christmas together every year. Preds lose 5-3 to the Washington Capitals. The Preds' 7-game losing streak comes to an end. It's not a crashing end, but it did come to an end, so they'll have to get a new win streak going, hopefully tomorrow against Columbus. But this win streak came to an end, no thanks to a stopped schedule due to COVID cases. But we're back now, ready to go full board into 2022, and we won't have to stop again, will we, Canadian government? We've got the Preds, who are playing for the first time in 12 days, and the Capitals, who are playing for the first time in 10 days. For the Preds, we've got good players coming off of the COVID list, and we've got good players going on the COVID list, hopefully for not too long, Roman Josi. This is a team that won the last 2 games of that 7-game winning streak with their entire NHL coaching staff being on the COVID list. The captain being out should make no difference in rallying these players to get W's. It seems like longer, but this is the Preds' first game versus Peter Laviolette since David Poile fired him on January 6, 2020. This is also the first game for the Preds in 17 days where the entire coaching staff has been on the bench since the Preds beat the Rangers 1-0. Preds and the Caps finding their feet early in the first period until about 3 minutes into that first frame. Capitals have the pressure in the Preds zone as John Carlson, he almost could have scored this goal by himself, the angle that he had, but he thought better of it, got it over to his teammate Lars Eller, who beats Saros to make the Caps have the early lead 1-0. John Carlson has always been competitive the last few seasons for the Norris Trophy with Roman Josi. Famous for being a pesky team to play against the Washington Capitals, McCarron of the Preds gets into a tussle with Hathaway, but McCarron is the only one that draws a penalty, but fortunately the Capitals don't capitalize on it. Fast forward to 7 minutes into the first period, and Matthew Olivier has a great chance to tie it on a partial breakaway, but Samsonov stops him. And then the other way, about 10 seconds later, Backstrom sets up John Carlson, who beats Saros over his shoulder, 2-0 Capitals. Before they would start beating Samsonov in the second period, and that's coming up, the Preds had some chances in the first to try and make it a less of a climb later on, as just with about 5.5 left to go in the first, Matt Duchene has a great chance to get the Preds the opening goal, but Samsonov keeps it out. Just over a minute left to go in the first period, when you were hoping that the Preds could escape the first period with just a 2-0 deficit. Nope. Nick Dell decides to beat Saros, making it 3-0 Caps. And if not for the grace of one UC Saros, it could have been 4-0, and then UC Saros probably would have been pulled for the rest of the game. But alas, the Preds only trailed the Caps 3-0. Preds did earn themselves a power play near the end of the first after they were already trailing down 3-0, and that power play carried over to the second. And though they didn't score on the power play, it did create the chance that opened the scoring for the Preds as Tanner Jeannot gets the puck to Yakov Trenin. That feisty little kid just won't quit. The Preds cut the Caps lead to 3-1. About 3 minutes after Yakov Trenin opened the scoring, everyone's favorite, and obviously I say that sarcastically, everyone's favorite Washington Capital, who's not a Washington Capital fan, Tom Wilson, lays out a hit on Ryan Johansson that Mark Borieski doesn't take too kindly of, and he lets Wilson know it. And the two look like they're going to fight, and Wilson is actually the one who drops the glove first, and so does Borieski. But for some reason, the refs end up calling Borieski for the instigator, so the Capitals get the power play out of it, even though Wilson did get penalized for roughing Borieski and for fighting. Borieski did get a misconduct, but he didn't get tossed from the game. So we just have a longer penalty to serve in the box. So the Preds would be down to 5 defensemen for the next little bit. But that didn't deter the Preds. 7 minutes into the second period, we got Luke Cunnin right in front of Samsonov. He beats him, cutting the Washington Capitals lead down to 3-2. The Preds aren't done there. 35 seconds after Luke Cunnin cut the Capitals lead to 3-2, you got Granlund off of a faceoff, gets it past to Dante Fabro, who waits, fires it, and it's tipped in by none other than number 9, Phil Forsberg, tying this game at 3. That's 35 seconds between both goals. Oh, Pekka would be proud to hear that number. That's Phil Forsberg's 14th goal of the season, moving him within 18 of tying David Legwand for the all-time goal scorer in Preds franchise history, 19 away from overtaking him. Caps were able to create a mad rush to try and retake the lead in the second period, but UC Saros, for the time being, seems to be in the zone and is turning aside every Washington Capitals chance. The shot total may not be where the Preds want it to be, but the scoreboard is, and these two teams are tied at 3 after 40 minutes. Only 20 minutes left in regulation as we start the third period, and Preds are playing a lot better, but there's still that little instance of improving the shots on goal. But hey, other than that, they're still playing better defensively and not giving the Capitals a ton of chances. Preds with a great chance to take the lead 4 minutes into the third period. Tolvanen with the perfect swing in front of Samsonov gets it tipped, but Samsonov stops it. About 7 minutes into the third period, Dante Fabro takes the dreaded delay of game penalty, and every Preds fan thinks that, okay, this is finally going to be the time that Washington finally takes the lead. We just can't keep going to the box. But luckily, the Preds survive another penalty kill, and almost immediately after killing off that penalty, the Preds draw a penalty on that dreaded Tom Wilson character. Almost as if it was a premonition for something that would happen a few minutes later on that power play for the Preds. It would be the Capitals that had the better chance with having a 2-on-1 into the Preds zone on Saros, and half away is turned away by one UC Saros. Out of the penalty box after the Caps successfully kill it off, Tom Wilson gets a breakaway, and if not for Nick Cousins coming back to break it up and UC Saros still making a save, I don't know if UC would have been able to make the save all on his own, and this game remains tied at 3. Granlund then gets called for cross-checking Knetsev, and in the midst of that Caps power play, TJ Oshie gets it over to Knetsev, who drew the penalty, and Saros just gets his stick on it to keep this game tied as the Preds feverishly try to take the lead and give Saros the win for his hard work. About a minute and a half after Mikhail Granlund's cross-checking penalty on Kuznetsov, Tom Wilson is at it again, and he takes a tripping penalty on Alexander Carey. And the Preds and the Caps play 4-on-4 for the next little bit. And just as the Preds penalty ends, putting them on the power play, the Caps are in the Preds zone, trying to look like they want to set a play just to kill off time. But Kuznetsov, instead, who's behind Saros as that penalty had ended that I had mentioned, comes around with players in front and just finds the littlest bit of openness on Saros' left shoulder and roofs it, and Saros tries to jump, knocking the net off in the process, but the puck legally went in for forehand, and the Caps have retaken the lead, now up 4-3. Preds pull Saros with about 2:20 and try to get a game plan together to try and tie this game up again, but can't sustain enough pressure. The Caps get control of the puck, and it's Carl Hagelin who seals it into the empty net. Caps win the game 5-3. Well, that win streak, it was nice while it lasted. Regardless of games being postponed or not, this team was going to lose again. Every team does, and every team wins again. It's just a matter of how quickly you can rebound and create another winning streak. Positives that I would take out of this game as a fan is that they didn't quit when they fell down 3-0, that they very well could have in other games. And even though they did spend a little bit too much time in the penalty box stifling any momentum that they could have created, they did kill off all 6 Washington power plays. And some bragging rights that I will personally take out of this game is that he didn't allow Ovechkin to get any closer to Gretzky's goal record. Things they knew need to work on, especially seeing as they're playing in Columbus tomorrow night on that quick turnaround, is that you can't go over when you had 4 power play opportunities. And when you're in a tie game in the third, trying to get that last bit of the game done and prevent it from going to overtime, you can't only generate 6 shots on goal, especially after you let them take the lead. But hey, the 7-game winning streak definitely gave you some cushion to work with in case you struggle with like a 2, maybe 3-game losing streak, but hopefully no more than that before you start winning again. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really like it. You can find my social media by clicking on a channel name. Tell all your friends about Redemption. Lavy, enjoy your win against your former team. You're still getting a "he sucks too" chant when you come back to Nashville later this season.